Hello, this is Alonzo Bodden. I want to welcome you to episode 317 of my podcast, Who's Paying Attention? Wow. So it is April 8th. We're more than a week into April. You know, I haven't even done my newsletter yet, which I try to get out in the first week of every month. I think I, like many other people, have gotten a little too comfortable being home and not working with this pandemic thing. And now that the world is opening, some places slowly, some places maybe a little too fast, we got to get back to work. I got to get back to work. I got to get off my ass and get working. So, if you read the newsletter, I appreciate it. And bear with me. I promise I'll get it done this weekend. Speaking of the world coming back too fast, I was just reading. Usually I go through the news before I do the podcast, but now it's kind of going through it at the same time. And forgive me for this background noise. That is actually the news story I was going to talk about. Florida reports the largest increase in daily COVID cases since February. Now, I know we're all shocked. We're surprised that would happen. But what they're saying is that people are getting back to normal a little too fast. People are definitely getting vaccinated and businesses are open. Here in LA and California, we're doing indoor dining now. And they're talking about the Lakers and the Clippers opening Staples Center, I think April 18th. So in 10 days, they're going to have live basketball. And you probably saw the baseball game in Texas with 40,000 people. They're saying that's going to be a super spreader. So we're not out of the woods, but we're doing better. If you're listening to me, I hope you got the vaccine. I get my second shot. Today's Thursday. I get my second shot on Sunday. So I think I made it. But we'll see. Yeah, we're getting back probably too soon. But on the other side of the coin, people have been locked down too long. And at this point, I don't think you can lock them down again. What's this? Some saying about closing the barn door after the horses escaped or something. Forgive me, I'm not up on my country sayings. But yeah, the horse is out of the barn. So you can close the door now, but he's running. And he got the Rona, probably. So that's not what I wanted to talk about this week. I don't know about you, but at this point, I'm just enjoying Mitch McConnell, the Republican Party, their desperation, their just no plan, they're just like, no, our job is just to say no, we hate everything, no. So, and then the flip-flops. So we know about the Georgia voter suppression law. And we know about the repercussions to the law. The first big one was Major League Baseball pulling the All-Star game. Then Delta flip-flopped. The CEO of Delta was like, there's some good points, and he'd boycott. And he said, no, it's a terrible law. It's a terrible law. And Coca-Cola has spoken out against it, and United Airlines, and on and on. More and more corporations are saying what a terrible law it is. Interestingly, a politician told the truth. Yeah, I hope you were sitting down when I said that. I hope you don't listen to this while you're driving, because you probably would have crashed into something. But the lieutenant governor of Georgia, Jeff Duncan, on CNN, admitted that this law, he said, talking about this law, he said, this is really the fallout from 10 weeks of misinformation that flew in from former President Donald Trump. Wow. Like I said, the CEO of Delta, the entire rationale for this bill is based on a lie, etc. But for a politician to admit that this thing is based on a lie, it is amazing. I mean, this is the lieutenant governor. He's right there next to Kemp as he's signing this bullshit law. But now the funny part to me is how angry the Republicans got, and then how unangry they got. So right away, Mitch McConnell comes out and says that corporations should not be involved in politics. That's right. Mitch was like that. There's no way corporations should be involved in politics. Now, keep in mind, Mitch McConnell. I'm laughing. Last year, Mitch McConnell collected $250,000 from CEOs of corporations, but he said, "My warning to corporate America is to stay out of politics." Right? So that was on. I guess that was on what, April 4th or 5th, a few days ago. And then I got to laugh because he's got to be careful. He's an old man. You can't just be flipping and twisting your back like this. You might hurt yourself, you old turtle. But anyway, so he said, stay out of politics. And then the next day, he said, I didn't say that very artfully yesterday. They are certainly entitled to be involved in politics. It took him one day to realize, wait a minute, corporations? But I was part of Citizen United that claimed corporations are people and allowed to make donations to politicians, which is how I get all my corporate money. Oh, man, let me flip-flop the flippity-flip-flop. It took a day. Now, here's an idea for the Republican Party, and I'm going to just throw this out there. How about coming up with some plans of your own? How about rather than just saying no or trying to stop people from voting, because the more people vote, the more Democrats will win. And the Republicans have all said that, McConnell and Cruz, and they all know it. So their whole strategy is, let's stop people from voting. But rather than that, what if you came up with a strategy of, I don't know, let's work together with the Democrats for the betterment of the country, or let's come up with an alternative plan of our own that we can show to people. But no sense doing that. The other thing that is hilarious is, now remember, these are Republicans. These are the people who can't stand the cancel culture. Some bitch, you cancel Miss Potato Head, and you cancel some bitch, Dr. Seuss and the Cat in the Hat, which all bullshit. The Cat in the Hat wasn't. The Seuss Dr. Seuss Foundation, which is his family, canceled some old books that had like racist images and slave auctions and stuff. But anyway, forget about truth. Some bitch, I don't need truth. I don't need none. You some bitch. I'm telling you right now, just stop canceling. You can't cancel anything. And now, here it is 2 weeks later. We want to cancel Delta Airlines. We want to cancel United Airlines. We want to cancel Coke. Let me tell you something about trying to cancel Coca-Cola, all right? Just trying to cancel. Here's the thing. You better not be thirsty. You better not be thirsty, because Coca-Cola there's more that you drink. You don't even realize how many brands Coca-Cola has under their umbrella, okay? Just to give you an idea of some of the things you drink that you may or may not know are owned by Coca-Cola. Dasani Water, Fuse Tea, Gold Peak Tea, Honest Tea, they seem to like tea. Minute Maid, juices, Powerade sports drinks, Simply juices, Simply Lemonade, Simply Orange, yeah, all of them. Smart Water, Vitamin Water, all this stuff. And there's a bunch more. Coke, if you're thirsty, Coke's getting a piece of the action. You understand? So boycotting Coke is just hilarious for one thing. But here's another thing when it comes to corporations, because they really just they want to cancel corporations. They don't want corporations getting involved in social justice issues. They're mad at Nike and Kaepernick, which, by the way, if you see some of these corporations, Nike be one of them, turns out they're on the right side of the issue. Took a while for everyone to realize that Kaepernick was right from the beginning, and a bunch of corporations got behind him. And back then, the Mitch McConnell wasn't telling corporations to stay out of it. He was telling NFL teams to get rid of football players. He was backing up Trump and all that bullshit. But anyway, here's the thing about corporations that are giving money and fighting for social justice. We look at baseball, Coke, Disney last year said that it'll give $5 million to organizations fighting for social justice. So, although the Republicans love to say that some bitch left-wing, liberal, progressive, libtards hate America, freedom, some bitch, we NASCAR, right? That's their whole thing. Well, guess what? Baseball, Coke, and Mickey Mouse are on the liberal side. I'm just saying. That's who you want to cancel. What could be more American than that? Some bitch going to a baseball game having a Coke with a little Mickey Mouse on the side. That dead American. We fighting to go to Disneyland with no mask. I don't know if you heard about the guy who spent $15,000 taking his family to Disney World and refused to wear a mask and didn't get in. Yeah, that's $15,000 worth of stupid right there. Good for him. So, it continues. Now, I talked about this on another show, and a guy was saying the Democrats take corporate money too, and that is absolutely true. Listen, the Democrats take a lot of corporate money. I was never happy with Barack Obama in taking all that money from Wall Street and letting them off the hook when they destroyed the economy with the loans and all of that nonsense. But in most cases, and definitely in this case, the Democrats are on the right side of this. Okay, you take corporate money, but if that corporate money is about fighting against a law to suppress voters, then take that corporate money and use it. Take that Nike money, take that Disney money, and take any other support you can get and fight against this law because it's a bad law. I'm okay with that. Just saying. So, speaking of money, okay, and the amount of money, it's the amount of money raised and how we got to get money out of our politics. Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know who Marjorie Taylor Greene is, crazy congresswoman from Georgia. She has raised $3.2 million in the first 3 months of this year with all the craziness, the supporting the attack on the Capitol and supporting all the Trump stuff and saying the election's a fraud and claiming that she's not allowed to talk even though she's a congresswoman talking, and after being kicked off all these congressional committees because of her wild beliefs in QAnon and all that nonsense. She's raised $3.2 million. It came from over 100,000 individual donors for an average donation of $32. So again, don't think that these people don't have supporters. They do. But, the point of the article about this is just because she's raising money doesn't mean she's right. It doesn't mean she's legit, but it does, because politics runs on money. And this is why we got to get money out of it. We got to get money out of it because you can be Trump showed, and we're going to talk about Trump getting money because Trump figured out how to fleece Republicans, and they're sticking with it. They're continuing to fleece these people who voluntarily are being fleeced. So I don't even know that I feel sorry for them, but I'm jumping ahead because I want to talk about, let's talk about it since I'm here. I want to talk about Pete Buttigieg because, again, Pete's done nailed another Republican. I love when Pete goes against these idiots, especially on Fox News. But anyway, so you probably heard about this. If you donated money to Trump, unless you unchecked a box hidden in the form, your donation was recurring, meaning that it was every month it would come out of your account or come off of your credit card or whatever. And we've all seen that where you have, it usually says it pretty big in the beginning. Is this donation one time or monthly or whatever? But they hid it within the email, and people donated a lot more money, and then they had to return a lot of money. They ended up having to return $120 million that they ripped people off of. But now it came out, and they had to make it more transparent. They had to show you where to uncheck the box so that your donation is one time and not monthly. And some people were going broke with this, and they love to fleece sadly, the poorest and least educated and angriest people. The mega churches do it all the time, so why wouldn't Trump do it? But anyway, so this is what's going on now. The Republicans have a pre-checked box to enroll donors into repeating monthly donations. Okay, so the box is already checked. And again, we've all seen these forms online. And this is what they say. This is the warning they give if you choose to opt out. Quote, if you uncheck this box, we will have to tell Trump you're a defector. Now, this is the National Republican Congressional Committee. This is not some, crazy left-wing QAnon thing or whatever. This is a National Republican Committee saying if you uncheck this box, we'll have to tell Trump you're a defector. Personally, I almost want to donate just so I can uncheck the box and have Trump think I'm a defector. Just let him know. Maybe he'll give me a call. Maybe he'll send me an angry email. Maybe he'll tweet. Oh, never mind. No, he won't be tweeting. Anyway, they're fleecing these people, straight up fleecing these people. And these aren't the corporations, Mitch McConnell, and these aren't the super rich that can afford to give. These are the working people. These are the unemployed people. These are the poor, angry Republicans that they're taking full advantage of. What little money they have, they're happy to take it from them. And they're happy to give it, which, the Chauvin trial, Derek Chauvin trial, the man who murdered George Floyd, has taken a somewhat interesting turn. And the interesting turn that I would say in this trial is how many cops are testifying against this guy. Now, normally cops stick together. They either don't say anything or they support the cop who's on trial. But in this case, I don't know if you've been watching the case or watching the prosecution. I said this before. I say it again. If he wasn't a cop, I don't even think there'd be a trial. I think there'd have to be some kind of plea bargain because the evidence is amazing. The videos, multiple videos from numerous people, witnesses up and down the street, and the defense is trying the big black guy has super strength, which is really hard to prove when big black guy's laying on the ground, handcuffed with 3 cops on top of him. I'm a big black guy, and of course I possess super strength, but not that much. I'm just ordinary superhero. I'm not Thor. Then we had the expert witnesses, some who randomly were there, an EMT who saw this and said, this man's dying. He needs help. Check his pulse. And they're talking about fire department that was there and other EMTs that saw the man had no pulse. The man couldn't breathe, et cetera, et cetera. But they started bringing in cops, numerous cops. The police sergeant who was in charge, the police sergeant who made him turn on the body cameras. They had the ex-police experts. They had the police chief, Maria Arando. They had the head of training for the police department. They had the head of use of force trainer, who's an expert in martial arts and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. All of them. There must have been at least, let's see, I'm going to just count real quick from the list I'm looking at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I count 9, and that was as of Tuesday. Police, law enforcement people who testified and said the use of force was excessive. And then they have another doctor on who explained how the body shuts down when it's not getting oxygen and what was going on, all the indicators. But the trial goes on. I just hope they get it right. The defense keeps trying to say there was this angry mob across the street, but over and over it's shown that that angry mob was about a dozen people, and the cops were standing between that dozen people and the Derek Chauvin and the other cops on top of George Floyd. So it's not like they were really, under any threat from these dozen people. We saw a couple of weeks ago and it was horrible to everyone who saw it. The Asian woman being beaten and kicked in front of a building in New York, and the doormen closing the door. And they both been fired. So that's good. And the people who run the building just said that it is clear that required emergency and safety protocols were not followed. For this reason, their employment has been terminated effective immediately, which is a really nice way of saying they're pieces of shit. How do you sit there? How do you watch a guy beat and kick a 65-year-old woman? I can't even imagine. But at least they got fired. At least that happened. I'm ending this on an up note, okay? So, I look for these stories, and there's a lot of bad, but I found some good. It's hard to find good. I found some good. This story, not so good. This is local to me in LA. I know exactly where this intersection is. Fairfax and Olympic, which is kind of a major intersection. Olympic is definitely a major boulevard, east-west in LA, and Fairfax is a north-south major street. And right at that corner, a woman was shown on video loading her gun, pointing her gun at people saying, anyone want to die today? Then pointing her hand out like it was a gun and blah, 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 and she was arrested. And the first cops that drove by, they didn't even stop. They just drove past. And she's yelling, the cow jumped over the moon, I'm going to kill someone in the street. She was arrested, alive. So I think at this point she was a white woman. And he said, Alonzo, why is it always about race? You know why? Because Tamir Rice was a 12-year-old kid with a toy gun. And the cops showed up and shot him within seconds. And this woman's actually waving a loaded gun, pointing a loaded gun at people, yet somehow they managed to arrest her without killing her. It's got to stop, man. It's got to change. It has to change. Policing has to change. Now, this woman probably had mental problems, but how many people of color with mental problems have been killed by the cops? And quickly, as soon as the cops show up, I got to put this person down. It's... I'm not saying she should have been killed. I'm saying they shouldn't have been killed. We're tired of it. Okay, that's it. That's enough. Do you remember Amanda Gorman? Amanda Gorman is the young woman who read the poem at the Biden inauguration and then did another poem at the Super Bowl. Well, in an interview with Vogue, she says she's turned down $17 million in endorsements because they didn't speak to the kind of content she wanted to align with. Now, I'll tell you why I don't have any judgment on this, because I don't know if she's accepted other endorsements. I don't know if she's turned down everything. The comments are always interesting. A couple of people, it seems like she's got a good head on her shoulders. Another one, good for her, that couldn't have been easy, so I give her credit. But then others, she could have been set for life, something most poets can't achieve. Some say that I would have taken the money, not like she wouldn't have hurt anyone. And then somebody who said this is probably the logical thing: take the money, invest it, watch it grow, then use it for noble purposes. So that would be a good idea. But the thing is, we don't know if she did make money. In other words, if she got millions of dollars in endorsements from things she believes in, then she turned down things she doesn't believe in. Good for her. She's better than me. She's better than me. Look, I'm going to take the money. I tell you right now, you've heard me on my podcast doing the ads, so you know me. I'm going to take the money. Speaking of which, this podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp.com. I've been talking about BetterHelp for weeks now. I believe in this mental health and getting some help. I've told you before, I truly believe you're not the only one. If you're having some mental health issues, talk to somebody. I mean, what interferes with your happiness? Are you like me? Because I've definitely had times when I got in my own way. I stopped myself from achieving goals, etc., etc. There's these issues: depression, stress, anxiety, relationship issues, family conflicts, trouble sleeping, all of these things. You can find help at betterhelp.com. It is not a crisis line. It's not about self-help. No, this is professional counseling, okay? This is professional counseling, convenient, affordable. You can go online. You can talk to them by phone. You have a professional counselor to talk to help you through these issues. So here's the deal. This is what we're offering. This is from betterhelp.com, HELP.com. 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/Alonzo. 10% off the first month for betterhelp.com/Alonzo. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/Alonzo. 10% off. You will talk to a professional. It's confidential, and they can help you. Get out of your own way. Be everything. Be everything. All right? Thank you. I mean, why not? You know? So as I was talking about with Amanda Gorman, I don't know how much money she has or what her motives are, whatever, but good for her. But that's not the only one I wanted to talk about, because I love when I'm reading the news and I just learn things, and I learn about phenomenal, amazing people, and this is one of them. Her name is Laurence Simmons. She's from Atlanta. She's 26 years old. She is in finance, and she is kicking ass, okay? Straight up kicking ass. They're talking about her becoming a new face of finance. At 22, she became the youngest female trader in the history of the New York Stock Exchange. Only the second black female ever to trade on the stock exchange floor. And she got there at only 22. So now, oh, by the way, she's written a book and she's a motivational speaker. She's going to start hosting a streaming series called Going Public. Now, we've heard about IPOs, right? We've all heard about how people get rich on these initial public offerings, right? The stock goes for sale, the price goes through the roof, and you're like, how do I get in on that early? Well, you don't, okay? You don't, I don't. There was a time you had to have $1 million to invest in an IPO, and there were the venture capital funds, et cetera, et cetera. But now the rules are changing, okay? And now they can solicit over the internet and crowdfunding and get that $1 million from pools of small investors rather than just one big investor. There's going to be a show about this, about the mini IPOs. There are going to be other financial experts there, but she is going to be the host. It's sort of like Shark Tank, but this is trying to get an IPO, trying to get on the NASDAQ stock exchange. But more importantly, this young black woman, 26 years old, obviously brilliant, working in the financial world where people don't expect a young black woman to be working. And they said she's been smashing through. It's funny, they're like, she's been smashing through glass ceilings all her career. She's only 26. This career is just getting started. I love this. I am so happy to see this. Laurence Simmons, kick ass, Lauren. Do your thing. You do you, as the kids say, and keep doing you. Hey, who's paying attention? You are, and I appreciate it. Listen, it's April 8th. You know what that means? It's a week from tax day. What is tax day like after 2020? Should we even have to pay? My gosh, let the rich folks pay. Just kidding, rich folks. I scared you for a minute there. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. I'm going to get back on the road at the end of the month. I'm headed out to Denver on April 30th and May 1st. Which is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm headed. See, I can't even remember. I'm headed to Seattle, and the following week I'm headed to Denver. I can't even keep track of where I'm supposed to be. Stay safe. We're not out of it yet. We're close, but we're not out yet. So stay safe until you get vaccinated, and even then, wear a mask, and let's not jump the gun. And one day I want to talk about it because there's some things in the pandemic that I think I'm gonna miss, like no traffic. There was a time when there was no traffic here in LA. That time has passed. Traffic is back. Take care. Be good to yourselves, and thank you.